Hey friends, how's it going? Welcome back. We're here on a Saturday morning doing a little content. We didn't get a chance yesterday on Friday to do anything. I was quite busy and, well, postponed it till today. As you can see, we have something different entirely on the bench. It's an electric fan. This is a Emerson Model 1500. It dates to, I would say, 1909, give or take, what the experts have told me. The blades were made by Parker, and they are stamped 1899. But that's a patent. You know, that's when they were patented. That's not when it was made. But it is a heavy cast iron construction. It sits on this trunnion, and it swivels, and it has only one speed. It's an on and off type of situation. But this fan is known as the very first 8-inch fan that Emerson made. Emerson started making fans in the very late 19th century. I don't know the exact year, but it's interesting because electric appliances were really not a thing until the 1920s. But the very first electric appliances that we know was, I think, the electric iron. Yes, the clothes iron was one of the very first electric appliances that came out in the very late 19th century, as well as the fan, because, well, we know air conditioning didn't exist until much later, but the process of moving air through, high or forced air through, well, the air, to cool oneself off was definitely known, and the fan, at the time, I'd say in the 19th century, were belt driven in certain fine hotels and establishments. They had a belt-driven type of fan system with other means of propulsion or motor. I would say they probably had a hit and miss type of motor or something like that on the roof that powered a belt, or maybe even steam powered. Who knows? I don't know that much about ceiling fans of that era, but I know that they had them. But having a portable or stationary type of electric fan was definitely a new concept by the 1890s. And I believe General Electric, or Edison at the time it was known, kind of pioneered that with an open coil electric fan. And those are very, very, very collectible. They're very rare, hard to find, but people pay up for those. They look like a C-clamp, but they're open coil. It's really crazy. Just Google Edison open coil fan, and you'll see what I'm talking about. And they're really kind of scary looking, but they're very 19th century. Anyways, this fan I've had since, I want to say, 2012 or so. I found it locally in Pasadena, and it was a basket case. It was really dirty, very corroded, and the head cord on it, the little cord from the motor to the base, was very much not safe to use. So I got it, and I had to remove the entire motor out, and the stator and the field coils out, and it's all one piece. So I had to figure out how to get that out, and because it's a press fit right into the cast iron motor casing, so I had to get it out. I watched some YouTube tutorials on how to do it on restoration of one of these. Luckily, there was a video or two about it, and I managed to get the motor out safely and replace the head cord, because the head cord goes in the back right here. So you have to pull the motor out, because there's a seam here. You can see there's a seam that comes off, but there's no seam at the back, so you can't access the head cord from the back unless you pull out the entire motor. So I did that. Very proud of my job on this. I did polish up the motor casing and most of the parts. I didn't go very crazy on the base, because the off and on, you can see the off and on switch there. It says off and on, or off on, right? Okay. That's original. That is original. And I was under some dirt, so as I was cleaning all the dirt off, I saw that and I realized it was original, and I was very ginger when I cleaned up around it. I didn't go crazy on polishing it, because that would come right off. So I didn't want to do that, because that's hard to replace. Most collectors that restore these don't replace that, because it's usually missing, because over time it's rubbed off or polished off or whatever. So the fact that that's there, it's pretty incredible. Here's the data plate. I love the data plate on this thing. It's so early. And model 1500. It's awesome. It's just beautiful. This fan is a collectible fan. It really is. Now, Emerson, they use these kind of kidney bean shaped blades. These were really severe at this point in time, around 1909, 1910. But through the teens and 20s, they started to not be so severely shaped. Well, they were for the smaller fans anyways. The 12-inch, standard desk fan was, not as severe. But a lot of collectors either call these Bullwinkle blades or kidney bean blades or whatever. But Parker made the blades for Emerson in those eras. The 16-inch, the larger size table fan didn't have this detail on their blades. They were more just teardrop shaped, more or less. But anyways, it's a great fan, high quality. Emerson was the standard of quality in that era. They adopted the slogan "Built to Last" by the 1920s, and boy, they really are. They had a logo with a pyramid, so that means they just last indefinitely. So that was their slogan by the 1920s. But before that, in the 19-teens and stuff, they were competitors with other fan manufacturers like Robbins and Myers and General Electric, of course, and whatnot, and Dial and stuff like that. And Singer, everyone was trying to get into the fan game. Because they were popular. They moved air in the pre-air conditioning era. And people, they always say without fail, like, oh my gosh, that would just chop your fingers right off, wouldn't it? I'm like, well, in that era, this cage was actually added to protect the blades. Not people, the blades. Yes, that's right. So if this fan was to fall off of a table or a high place, the blades are brass, so they're very susceptible to bending. So they're soft. It's a soft metal. They would bend and then make the fan very hard to operate because they are balanced. And even if you straighten them out, you have to be very, very good at straightening out metal to make sure that they're still balanced, because if they're not balanced, they're just going to wobble and it's just going to be really bad. So it's important to protect the blades. So the cage was adapted. The very first electric fans, such as the Edison open coil C-clamp looking, thing. It was very early 1890s, I'd say, maybe even late 80s. Don't quote me on that, but I have to double check. But the very first fan that Edison made had no cage at all. And it wasn't until later on that, on the brink of 1900, I think they started putting cages on fans because of that reason, to protect the blades. Now, at that time, people were kind of, very matter of fact, and, they just trusted people knew better. If you don't want your fingers chopped, you don't put them in a moving fan with metal blades. Just, duh, it's a kind of a no-brainer. But, children, of course, don't know this. And eventually, fans were placed on high places, and they were not near children's reach. So they would put them up on a shelf on the wall in the corner of a room. So they were out of reach of little hands. So yeah, that was a very practical era in that sense. If you don't want to chop your fingers off, then, just don't put them in a fan blade. Duh. Anyways, so yeah, and as time progressed, we put more suitable cages on these just to make life a little easier and less risky, I guess. But of course, you suffer airflow because of that. And people usually don't use too many fans anymore. They just have air conditioning, or they have ceiling fans, and those are out of reach anyways. So with that being said, let's fire it up. I restored this so it operates just fine. All right, I'm going to point it away from the camera so I don't get any wind noise, because that's always annoying. There we go. As you can see, it runs very smooth. It does have some vibrations. Because it's a very early fan, and it's just, I cleaned up the motor, got it oiled, everything to what I understand is right, but it is an early fan. Nice. Feels a little warm out here, so that's actually pretty nice. But yes, I'm slowing the blade down with my finger. Like, don't do that, that's dangerous. I'm like, well, it's brass, it's okay. Anyhow, these fans are collectible. I will say that most of the ones I've seen on eBay have reached anywhere from $900 to $1,275. Some people have paid even more for these particular fans. They don't come up for sale often because they linger and dwell in a lot of collections. So people are big fans of these fans. Sorry. So they like them. They're very cute. They're very small and they're very adorable. But yeah, it's a great piece. I love this fan. But you know, if someone was going to make me an offer, I guess I would say sure. You know, I'm not really looking to sell it, but some people would probably use it more than I do. It spends its time in a cabinet out here in the time cave because I don't really have enough space to display it right. I don't use it as a working fan as I do my other GE fans that are a little newer. They're from the 20s, in the late teens, early 20s, and they seem to be a little more, or they're quieter. They don't vibrate as much. This fan does run pretty well for what it is. It could probably be fine-tuned a little bit. I'm not sure, but I think I got it pretty good. But it is, you know, Gilded Age. It's an early fan. I did have all the brass polished really well when I first restored it, and it's kind of subtly, you know, oxidized a bit. But it could be brought back out, you know, to be really shiny and pretty. And you could also seal coat it, so it wouldn't oxidize. Some people like to do that. Me, I don't know. I think that takes away from its historic nature, but that's just me. Anyhow, it's a beautiful fan. It's a really nice piece. I'm very lucky to have this because if I didn't have this and I found it online, I would have to pay dearly for it, and there's no way I would pay the prices that these usually go for because, well, I'm married and I don't make a whole lot of money, and of course I have lanterns to, you know, buy. But anyways, I thought I'd do a little departure from our usual content with the lanterns and share something else that I like, which is antique electric fans. And it was a buddy of mine down in Pomona that has a collection of them that I noticed, and he would actually use them and you know, create a flow system in his house from his air conditioning unit to other parts of the house with his antique fans. And I saw how well they worked and how nice they looked. And I started buying old fans when I'd find them in an affordable price range. Back, I would say between 2003 through maybe 2010 or so at least. But yeah, this is a really nice piece, and I'm happy to have it. But yeah, so cool. All right, guys. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this departure in content from our regular lantern subjects. Hope you guys felt that was a nice taste of something different. So go ahead, please, like and subscribe. I'm always trying to, you know, we're almost to 500, folks. We're almost to 500. We're at 497, so we're teetering on 500. We're just almost there. So let's get a few more subscribers and hit that 500 and have a little celebration out here in the Time Cave, huh? Sounds good? I think so. As always, check out the Redbubble. I have some new designs coming on Monday, and please feel free. All right. Awesome. Have a great rest of your weekend and stay cool. And we'll see you again next time. Bye-bye.